Good morning, everyone. I'm Paul. I'm the Director of Communications and Marketing with the San Mateo Area Chamber of Commerce. Welcome to Business Essentials today. Today, we have guest speaker Mark Aguilera. He's a MNLP and CEO of Aguilera and Associates. I'll let him explain the alphabet soup. The topic is the art of networking post-pandemic. So as you all know, January 15th, California opens up, and we'd like some tips on how would we behave in a networking environment in the very near future. So I'll turn this over to Mike, and you all have access to the chat if you like. And if Mike prefers to do this interactive, you can just pop in with your questions. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Pauline. And good morning, everybody. Can everyone hear me okay? Yes?
Yes.
Okay, good. I'm just having some challenges with my sound system. I want to make sure it works. And so I'm going to be covering, well, first, a little background about myself for those that don't know me or who I am or what I'm about. I have a company that does training and coaching around communication skills. And what I'm certified in is in a system called, a modality called NLP, which is neuro-linguistics programming. And for neurons, is in the mind, linguistics, your words, and your body language, and programming. The programs or patterns that we all have to process information to create our reality. And so it's modeled after therapists that we're creating and making change or having people take action. And there's elements of therapy and NLP, but there's also elements of communication. And that's what I'm going to be talking about, the impact of your voice, your body motion, the questions or the response people have to you and reading people. And so I'm going to be talking about post-pandemic, and some of this is also pre-pandemic. These are some tips that I've shared also as well before, just to create rapport with people, have them feel safe around you. And also, I have two books that I've written. One is Connect with Anyone in 90 Seconds or Less. And then I do have a book that I've written on the art of networking, and they're both on Amazon. And so NLP in essence is about understanding human behavior and psychological triggers. And also I've been doing a lot of training over the past few years on neuroscience, which is more of the emotional connections and response people have in regards to interacting and words you use. So I'm going to be talking about some key elements in regards to people feeling safe and comfortable around you, and to create rapport, create instant rapport. And then if I have time, I'll share some other techniques in regards to people approaching you and how to interact, remembering names, how to have people brought to you to make that networking event more fun and effective for you. And I've been doing training and coaching for over 20 years. Before that, I was in the high-tech field. And then during the high-tech field, I was always searching for professional development. That's where I came across NLP. For those may not be aware that Tony Robbins, that's the foundation of his training, is NLP, but he does it more for emotional state. And that's why he has music and beach balls and people jumping up and down just to get you in that emotional state. And for me, it's emotional state, but it's more of a subtle way of when you're interacting with people. And a lot of the training that I do here in the Bay Area is with Intel, Cisco, IBM. They brought me in, Hilton Hotels, McDonald's restaurant, more for communication for leadership. And I've done it international. I've been in London, Germany, England, Mexico, throughout the United States, New York, Miami, throughout California. And so this is about connecting with people. And in NLP, there's a lot of terms. However, I'm going to make it really simple and basic so you understand, because some people will say, just be nice to people. But how do you be nice? Just create rapport. But how do you create rapport? How do you make someone feel safe around you? So this is going to be interactive. If you have any questions specific to networking, then just raise your hand or put it into the chat if you have any challenges or anything that you would love some insight in. And I want to make sure I'm specific to answer your questions, because we'll have a brief amount of time, another 20 or so minutes. So if there's anything specific, just go ahead and raise your hands. If not, I'll just jump right in. And I don't see anybody raising their hand. So let me go through some elements in regards to networking. First off, years ago, I used to hate networking. For me, as a category, or if you categorize me, I'm an introvert. And I'm also, when I was very young, I was labeled as shy. And so with NLP, it helped me create breakthroughs in what's called reframing to empower myself in regards to being shy. So I used to think about if I go to a networking event, am I going to interrupt conversations? Am I going to be rude or disrespectful? Approach people, or is anyone going to talk to me? Am I just going to stand there and just feel awkward? So what I started to do, a few things. One is I started what's called modeling. Modeling is I started to watch people and how they approach me and other people, and something you can do as well. And I would think, wow, that was a great icebreaker. I like the way they approached me. I like what they said or where they stood, or wow, the way that person approached our group or this person. I better note never to do that. And so just watch people, how they approach you, how they make you feel, and then just start to either add things to the way you network or just remove things that you might be doing. So that's just a thing that what I started to do is just model, because I was starting to go to, as I started to do presentations internationally, I was at conventions with 5,000, 10,000 people, and where do you start, who do you meet? So I had to shift my mindset and my approach and then start to model. And so for me, if anyone in the group is categorized as a shy or an introvert, what I had to do is in NLP, I reframed it. I changed shy into being considerate or respectful. So when I went to a networking event, I wasn't thinking about me. I wasn't thinking about, oh, are they going to talk to me? Am I going to feel awkward? I was thinking about, okay, what can I do to make that person that I'm going to be talking to feeling okay, safe, feeling acknowledged? And so I went to a networking event thinking, what can I do to be respectful for people around me? How can I make them feel happy or feel at ease or safe around me, or to enjoy the event? So I shifted my mindset away from me into other people around me. So that way I wasn't feeling awkward. I was just thinking, okay, who else can I make feel good around who I'm talking to? And so there's a program that I've conducted over the years, just past few years, on listening, on insightful listening. And it's not just hearing the words, it's watching the person and having an intuition of, oh, something's going on. Are they okay? Should I ask a question? Did I say something that didn't make sense to them? And so people will react in different ways. If you watch them, you'll pick up a lot of signals. Are they feeling comfortable, or are they feeling a little distracted or uncomfortable? So this is based on reading people. So first off, your mindset, and then from that, you want to be able to read people, and I'll talk about that in a second. So your mindset when you go to a networking event should be on, okay, the people I'm going to approach, they may be sensitive to people standing next to them or approaching them. So be aware of that. Don't just walk into a networking event and just start to say, hey, how you doing? And just start to approach people because you may get a shocking response like, hey, what's going on? And people may be still sensitive to having people approach them. And so the other mindset is just the mindset of them, of what's going on in their mind, that are they okay with me approaching them? So just be sensitive. Don't just be too bubbly at this point. Just be aware that, okay, I need to kind of put my foot in the water. And when you approach somebody, first off, your mindset, are you okay with people shaking your hand or giving you a hug? Because if you're not okay with that, then you have to initiate the greeting. And what I mean by that is, if you're not okay with people hugging you, you then do a fist pump or an elbow. You initiate it. That way people are okay, they just want, they'll do an elbow. And so you start off, if you're okay with people hugging you or shaking your hand, then the way you greet them is key. And the way you greet somebody is you put your hands out as if you're going to hug them off to the side of your waist and say, hey, hello. And when you do that, it shows your hands, your palms, and it shows that you're being wide open. It also is this first stage of someone giving a hug. So if you're a hugger, you want to hug somebody, then this is the way to initiate it. And it also, what's key about this, when you want to create rapport and have someone feel safe in front of you, what's important is you open up your hand, which shows confidence. You're not hiding anything, but what's key is it shows that you don't have any weapons in your hand. So it's very subtle. However, just imagine someone walking up to you and saying hi, and they have their hands behind their back where you can't see them. it's just a certain level of adrenaline starts to rise. So you want to just greet somebody with your hands open as if you're going to hug them. And if you are a hugger, if you want to hug them, this is key. Ask permission. Hey, hi, you haven't seen for a while. Is it okay if I give you a hug? Is it okay if I give you a hug? So if you're a hugger, ask for permission. And if they say, yes, great, or they go, oh, well, no, not yet. And they extend their hand to give you a fist bump or an elbow, and then you, okay. Or even if they hugged you in the past, there might be something still going on. They might have had a relative or a loved one that acquired COVID and was ill or something happened. So they may be very sensitive. So it'll take weeks before everyone is going to be back. It might take months, but it'll take a time before everyone's back to normal. So you want to respect that and respect people. So your mindset of, am I okay? Are they going to be okay? Be sensitive to that. Approaching them with your hands open, say, hey, how you doing? Great to see you. Is it okay if I give you a hug? So those are some key elements, just approaching people and having the mindset. And being shy, what I meant by that is also approaching people to make them feel safe and okay. And just getting out of your own mind of thinking, am I going to be okay? Just, I want people around me to feel safe and okay. And so when I talk about intuitive listening, if you want more love and happiness in your life, just spread it. Just make other people around you at networking events feel loved and happy. Give them a compliment, which is very powerful. It's people want to feel acknowledged. So just giving them a subtle compliment, an authentic compliment, like, oh, I love your tie, or I love that outfit, or your hair, or whatever that you can say that's authentic, will also be a great icebreaker to have people feel safe around you and feel good about themselves, and you making them feel good. So I'm covering a lot right here. Any questions on what I've covered so far? I want to make sure, does this make sense? Yes? Okay.
It does make sense, Mike. I think that that's one of the things that I'm going to find challenging. I'm what you would consider a hugger. So I think that to keep myself from getting into the danger zone, I'll probably just approach people in a very, with the elbow or with the fist pump, so that at least for a while, just to get in the habit and not just jump into thinking that everybody wants to get a hug from me. Because that, culturally in the Hispanic community, we do hug, and sometimes even, a kiss in the cheek. That's something that we used to do quite frequently with friends and family. And now that's not the case. So I think that I'm just going to have to be overly cautious to make them feel comfortable more than anything.
Yes, and as I mentioned, ask for permission. Hey, is it okay if I give you a hug? And from that, you'll get a response. And when I say response in regards to reading people, if you're approaching somebody and you say, hey, and you open up your arms, say, hey, good to see you. And can I either give you a hug or just open your hands and say, hey, hello, and watch them. If they respond in a way of leaning in, they're okay. If they respond like leaning back, they're giving you signals that, uh-oh, I'm sensitive to hugs or the people approaching me. So this is part of reading people. You can start to sense as you approach somebody how comfortable they feel around you, around anyone. So as you approach someone, watch their reactions. Their reactions could be, again, leaning in or leaning back, or it could be their facial expressions. They may open up their eyes like, whoa, wait a second, what are you going to do? I don't want to hug. So watch people and be sensitive to that, because they're going to
You can give me a hug anytime, Maria.
I just want to add, Mike, very interesting. Thank you for pointing that out. I would appreciate that you will show the books again. It's actually funny because I have the same books, but in Russian, how to approach people and how to win in 90 seconds. It's interesting to see them in English. I have another question. Like, I always ask the permission. I always put my elbow. I always say, I give you a virtual hug. I mean, I just do like that. But what do you do when people don't follow that and put you in an awkward situation? Like I have my relatives visited, and that's wonderful. We're good. We're doing virtual hugs still, even we all vaccinated. But we just walk around my house, and I have a neighbor. He's kind of, I don't know, sometimes too much. And he approached us, he started talking, I introduced, la, la, la. and then he just give you a hand. I know my relatives are not ready for that. They were not comfortable. And they kind of was in a position that they didn't want to be not polite. They give a hand, but then when we kind of going back home, they were like, what is this? How can we shake it off? Even he said that he's fully vaccinated and stuff. But how do you do this when people don't ask you, I mean, they don't know them. I mean, he's my neighbor. I know that the way that he is. And I can jump in between and say, oh, no, don't do that. I mean, it's also going to be awkward, right? So what do you do in situation when people don't ask, but assume, like if they vaccinated and you vaccinated and you're already together, and they kind of go over the board?
Yes, thank you, Julia. And correct, some people are not sensitive to other people. They will just think, if I'm okay with it, everyone else must be okay with it. And so, as I mentioned early on, if you can tell your relatives, my neighbor's gonna come over, or if you see my neighbor, he's a hugger. So what I suggest you do is just prepare them, say, just stick your hand out and give them a fist, to say fist pump only, or stick your elbow out, sir. So educate them or give them directions. And then same thing with your neighbor. If he starts to hug you, say, oh, wait, no, fist pump. And just, it's still a greeting, however, or, elbow. And so it'll give him signals. I mean, if he still approaches you and just say, wait, I'm not ready for hugs yet. Just in a playful way, not in a mean, because your voice will also impact the conversation. You say, no. You say, oh, no, in a playful way. Most people, he still may not be aware of that. He still may think, no, you're just saying that, you're just playing around. But do as much as you can to kind of initiate it first, fist pump, elbow. Hey, neighbor, how you doing? And if he still approaches with to hug you, just start to say, wait, no, I'm not ready for hugs. And so just put your hands out and step back and do as much as you can. And hopefully that'll be enough. It may not with everyone. Everyone's not as sensitive to people approaching people. They're just thinking, this is who I am, and this is what I'm going to do. However, does that help, Julia? And Julia, I guess you're asking about my book, Connect with Anyone in 90 Seconds or Less, which is on Amazon. And you can just Google me on either on Google or on Amazon, Mike Aguilera. And I have another book, which is actually, I wrote years ago, which I now have, what I'm covering is new material, The Art of Networking. And they're also in PDF on Amazon. And I also, for those, I have upcoming workshops. Right now, I'm not actually taking on any coaching clients, so I'm not here to sell you anything. However, I'm just here to help and for you to be aware of who I am and to build a relationship. If you want to learn more about NLP, my programs on conversational selling, or more on networking, or on what I call insightful persuasive listening, which is not just hearing the words, it's really reading the person so that you accelerate your success. Be able to get more yeses quicker, build a relationship and the rapport and trust a lot faster. Because as I mentioned, listening is not just hearing the words, because there's active listening where you just repeat back. So I want this in 30 days. Okay, so you want this in 30 days. That's just hearing what they said. But they may have said it in a way where you need to be aware of. They may have said in a way of urgency, I want this in 30 days. Okay, you want this? Oh, really? You want? So if they said it with a sense of urgency, that's really starting to listen, where you're hearing the response of, okay, there's some sense of urgency, the way they said, I want this in 30 days versus I want this in 30 days. And then you can still ask more questions. So even in networking, the same thing. When you're networking with people, be aware of how people are actually talking to you. Again, leaning in, leaning out, their gestures, their voice, the words they use. And so some other key elements on networking. I've talked about greeting people, fist pump, the mindset. And one key part in regards to networking is, excuse me, if you want people to be brought to you, this is something I picked up years ago, if you're at a networking event and you would like the people to be brought to you, here's a technique that will help you develop that or create that, but also help you end conversations quickly, because that's another challenge that I had and many people have is I'm talking to somebody, but he won't stop talking. The rapport is so strong, so good that they keep on talking. And there's 2 hours at this event and I'm talking to this one person for half an hour or 1 hour. So what can you do to break away and make the other person feel good and get people brought to you? And so what you can do is when you're talking to somebody and you have a good relationship, great conversation, and then this is a question you can ask them. Is there, or what can I do to help you at this event? Is there a certain person or type of person that I can introduce you to if I meet them? And they may say, yes, I'm looking for CEOs, or I'm looking for financial advisors or real estate agents, and because I'm an affiliate or I can help them. And so you say, okay, great. And if you find anyone, you can be specific or you can be very general. If you find anyone that's interesting that you think I should meet, I would love if you can bring them over and introduce me to them. And I'll when I find someone, I'll introduce you to them. And they go, okay, great, let's go book the room. Now you can break away from that conversation without feeling awkward of saying, okay, nice meeting you, and then walking away. You can say, okay, great, let's work the room together. And so, and now when you meet somebody, if it's a good contact or not, you can say, hey, come on over. I want you to meet Michael. I want you to meet Julia, and just introduce them, and then you can break away. And then you are now being framed, in NLP it's called framing, or position yourself as a resource, someone that is helpful. So just start to introduce people in that way. And then if you meet someone else, you can say the same thing. Now, how can I help you at this event? Are there certain people I can introduce you to or make connections with if I meet them? And they may say anyone, or if they say anyone, just bring anyone over to them. And so at that point, you'll start to have people brought to you. Hey, Mike, I want you to meet so-and-so. I just met them. I thought it'd be a good contact, or that he owns his own business. He has a team of people that could probably use their service, or whichever. So use that as a technique to have people, again, give them instructions, bring people to you, also for you to break conversations quickly and bring people to other, make connections. And people will remember you. Now, when you either follow up by email or text message, it was great at that event. Thanks for introducing me to those people and whatever other information. And they'll remember you because you are now seen as a resource instead of a salesperson just there to create a transaction. Does that make sense, everyone? Any questions on what I've covered so far? Checking if there's any chat. Okay.
Hey,
Let
Mike.
me, yes, I hear a voice. Is that Michael?
It is. Hi, thank you. Just wondering, is your book also available in audio format?
It's semi. I have an online course where the book is in video, where I have 4 hours of or 4 modules of video. The book is in 4 formats. It's the mindset, the first connection, the conversation, and the follow-up. So if you do get the book, email me and I'll send you the audio. I did a teleclass where I broke down those 4 elements, and it's in the audio. So if you get the ebook and you want the audio, just email me. I'll send it to you as a gift. No additional cost. So if you're a person that's very busy or doing exercise, you want to listen to the audio, I can send that to you as well.
Thank you.
Sure thing. And so one other thing I'll cover also in regards to creating rapport, making people feel safe around you. When you approach somebody, if you can, stand off to the right shoulder, not directly face to face. So if you're in front of me, I would stand off to, let me move my head up to I would stand to your right, not directly face to face. I would be facing your right shoulder, standing, my head would be in front of your right shoulder. And the reason you want to do that is when you're face to face, this is more sensitive for men than women. Women prefer face to face, but men or ladies, if you approach a man, or gentlemen, if you approach another man, when you're face to face, it's more confrontational, like I'm in your face. But if you're at a slightly off and not directly in front of their face, it's more, they feel it's non-confrontational. They feel that you're there, you're engaged, but you're not in their face. And if they approach you face to face, that means that they're okay and feel safe around you. So you don't have to worry about that. But eventually, if you're off to the right shoulder, the conversation will end up where you're face to face eventually. But the other thing, what's important to you is when you're off at an angle off just to the right shoulder, you're not face to face, and some people will be sensitive to you being close to them or breathing on them. So if you're slight off to the right shoulder, you're not in front of them. You're not, doesn't feel as if you're breathing directly on them. So in regards to COVID, sensitivity, that's also something that can help you create rapport and have someone feel safe around you. So just approach someone, shake their hand as you or fist pump, and then just stand off slightly. Eventually, it'll migrate face to face. And ladies, just be aware that if you approach somebody, just approach them. If you can, just move slightly up, because women prefer, again, being face to face. And so it might be something you may have to adjust to. And also, as the distance between you and the person you're talking to, be aware that if right now the distance may be a little, instead of foot or 2 feet, it may be a little bit more. And just read the person as you approach them. And if you get too close, they'll lean back. So just watch how someone is reacting, responding, how you approach them. We're running out of time here. Any questions, anything that you would love to learn that I haven't covered yet, or anything that I did cover that you can give me some feedback on? Has this been helpful? Just want to make sure.
This last part was interesting. I had not considered that. But I do know that for me, I like to actually not have my back to people. I like to be able to see them. So typically when I'm joining a group, I try to find a spot where I can actually not only engage in the conversation, but also be able to see the rest of the room.
Okay, good. And the thing also you have to be cautious with is when you say see the rest of the room, you want to be present in the conversation. You have to be careful of watching and talking, having a conversation with somebody and then glancing around, because people say, okay,
you're boring, I'm looking over there.
Yeah, no. So who else can I talk to? This is getting old. So yep, it's challenging for many people. And when people feel a sense of feeling acknowledged or significant, that accelerates the rapport.
Yeah.
Somebody said that a book I read years ago, I think it was Never Eat Alone, and they were talking about Bill Clinton. And one politician said, before I met him, I didn't like him. After I met him, I didn't like him. But when I was talking to him, he was a great guy. He is, when he's having conversation with people, he is present. He just kind of like has filters. He's just focused on you and listening to you and asking you questions. He's not looking around or looking at a cell phone. He is present as if what you're saying is very important to him. And so people want to feel that, want to get a sense that I'm acknowledged. And that's a big human emotional driver. And that's why I say giving people a compliment is just real simple. However, most people don't get compliments. So if you just compliment them about their smile, about their, I even acknowledge people about the tattoo. Like, wow, that's an interesting tattoo, a rose. So is there a message or something behind that? And I've actually asked this to one girl. She goes, yeah, it's my grandmother. Her name was Rose. And so she got into the story, but it was an icebreaker to where I can start to talk to her and just make her feel significant. Just acknowledge something, that a decision she made or something that about her. And so I've even complimented women about their high heels. I go, I don't know how you ladies walk in those high heel shoes. I can never do it. And it was an icebreaker. And actually that woman at a networking event hired me to coach her on presentation skills. And so that was be able to break the ice at a networking event. And icebreakers quickly, anything that's going on in the room, anything related or associated to where you're at. So it could be the food. Wow, that food looks tasty. Oh yeah, the buffet's right over there. I go, okay, thank you. Oh, hi, my name's Mike. Or that beverage, wow, that looks tasty. So just food. Have you been to this event before? Or do you know are you a member of the association? Just anything related to the event or into that room. So that those are simple icebreakers that you can use to approach people. And ideally get back to the mindset. At a networking event, a real simple and powerful mindset is to imagine you're the host of that event. So if you see someone that's just standing there, just walk up to them, say, hey, how you doing? Just to make them feel comfortable, back into making other people feel comfortable. Because if someone went into your home for an event and you saw someone standing alone, you would walk up to them as the host to make sure they're okay. How are you going to help them? Do they know where the food's at, or are they hungry? Would they like a beverage? And so the same thing at a networking event. I've done this a number of times, and one time a person asked me, "Is this your event?" I go, "No, I'm just seeing how you're doing. I just wanted to talk to you." So it's very subtle. It's just a shift in your mindset, and that's in regards to what I teach in communications and conversational selling and listening. The foundation is your mindset, because what you're thinking about, you will project. And so same thing with a networking event. If you're thinking, I'm probably not going to meet any good people here, so it's probably going to be a waste of my time, what you're doing is you're creating a filter in your mind that when you get to the networking event, your mind is going to search to justify that thought. It's going to say, oh, there's someone that's probably not a good contact. There's somebody that's probably not good for me. And so you're picking the people and filtering the people that are not a good contact for you versus someone that could be a great contact or client or referral could be standing next to you talking about your service, and you won't hear it because you're so focused on other things that you're thinking about. And this is also a study done by Dr. Daniel Simons, and it's referred to as unintended blindness. And so we've all experienced this to one degree or another, where your car keys are on the table and you can't find, where are my car keys? I can't find them. And they're right there on the table in front of you. But you have this unintended blindness. You're focused on traffic and missing the appointment and other things. And so the same thing, if you go into a networking event and you're thinking, this is not going to be a good event, I'm not going to meet any good people, your mind starts to shift to focus on that, to justify that, to actually what's called your subconscious mind, called the reticular activating system. And it's always searching for what's emotionally important to you. That's why when you're going to buy a new car, you start to see that car everywhere. It's not as if they built new cars. It's just now you're starting to notice them because your mind, your subconscious mind said that's important to you. So if you go into a networking event and you're thinking, this is important to me, or this is not, I'm mostly concerned about this, it'll start to say, okay, yeah, here's a bad person, there's a bad person, versus I'm probably going to find some great people. This is going to be a great event. If I meet one good person, great. If not, I'm just going to have a good time and make other people feel great. So you're walking into the room with different energy and also different filters, so where you start to see people and you start to notice, and also it'll seem as if you're attracting ideal people, that you're not really attracting them, you're just noticing them because you put in your mind what you're looking for and what's important to you. So that's the power of your mind. And a lot of what I do, I got 12 elements of the mind in regards to empowering yourself and seeing opportunities, and also just being present and confident in regards to connecting with people.
Thank you, Mike. Yeah, this was wonderful and very, very timely, as the state starts to open up. And about half of the attendees today are members of our business referral networking group. So this falls right in line with networking for business. We have a couple of our chamber ambassadors here who do play host when we do in-person events. So we're hoping to, come back to in-person events soon once we find some venues, and very excited for moving ahead with, crawling out of the pandemic. But I appreciate your time, Mike. I think this is maybe the 4th or 5th event that you've done for the chamber. We really appreciate you coming back and supporting us. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. And I have a lot more that I can share. And also, if anyone has any questions, just reach out to me. My email is mike@mikeaguilera.com. My name's on the bottom of my video. So I'm here to help. If you have any questions about networking or my topics, or if you have a team that you want me to talk to, or a group, that you're part of another association or get in your office, I'm here to help.
Great.
Thank you,
so
Mike.
much.